National Party rescue missions, always ready to rescue Grenada with resilience, courage, and unwavering leadership. Founded in the early 1980s during a time of great uncertainty, Grenada was still reeling from the aftermath of the revolution, especially the violent way it ended. Fragile and yearning for stability in 1984, leaders from across the region gathered on Union Island with the three existing political parties in Grenada at the time, namely the Grenada National Party, the GNP, led by Herbert Blaise, the National Democratic Party, the NDP, headed by George Brizan, and the Grenada Democratic Movement, GDM, headed by Dr. Francis Alexis. That meeting in Union Island resulted in the formation of the new National Party, the NNP. At the inaugural meeting of the newly formed NNP, Herbert Blaise was elected as the political leader, with our present leader, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Claudius Mitchell, appointed as the General Secretary. In December 1984, the first parliamentary general elections post-revolution were held. The new National Party won 14 of the 15 seats, and Herbert Blaise was elected Prime Minister. His vision was a united Grenada, with key pillars being economic and infrastructure development, tourism, and strong international relations. His humility and dedicated service to restore our democracy and rebuild our institutions will always be etched in our history. Internal differences between the leaders of the three parties that formed the NNP saw the exit of George Brizan and Dr. Francis Alexis in 1987. They subsequently formed the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, with George Brizan as the political leader and leader of the opposition in Parliament. By 1989, Dr. Mitchell became the leader of the NNP. In 1990, the NNP lost the general elections to the NDC, and Grenada was again faced with major challenges. Grenada's weak growth performance during the period 1990 to 1994 was attributed to a continuous contraction in agricultural output, which declined each year. In addition, the construction industry experienced a major contraction in 1992 due to the sharp fall in public sector investment. In 1993, output declined in the mining and quarrying, construction, and manufacturing sectors, as well as in agriculture. Gross domestic expenditure declined continuously from 117.4% of GDP in 1990 to 102.1% of GDP in 1994. By 1995, the new National Party was called upon by the people of Grenada to perform its second rescue mission under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell. The work of the NNP team and the clarion call for inclusivity during that period of service led to the party's first historic clean sweep victory in 1999. With the exceptional leadership of Dr. Mitchell, the NNP team went on to shape some of the most defining moments in our nation's history post the period of the revolution, leading the country through its darkest hours of two major hurricanes, Ivan and Emily, a world financial crisis, and a pandemic. Grenada suffered damages in excess of 200% of its gross domestic product, GDP, as a result of the hurricanes. Team NNP was charged with the responsibility to manage the rebuilding process in collaboration with the social partners, including the opposition. Worthy of mention are a few of the key Build Back initiatives: distribution of free material support, the reconstruction of 200 homes for vulnerable families, the negotiation of 6 housing schemes, most of which we have today: Soubise, Montrush, St. David's, Diamond, and Beauséjour, rebuilding of 2 national stadiums, negotiation with the U.S. aid to build 1,200 houses. Negotiations with the U.S. aid to finance the cost of homes for 150 families. Cap on gas price. Reduction in property taxes. Provision of planting materials, fertilizers, labor support, equipment, and grant support to farmers to compensate for their lost income. Fisher folks were given grant support to repair their boats, replace engines, other equipment, and to compensate for interim loss of livelihood. The new National Party was asked by the people of Grenada to sit out the period 2008 to 2013 in the governance of the country. But by 2011-2012, the cries of yet another rescue mission were heard. In 2013, in true NNP fashion, we armed ourselves for the battle, and in 2013, we took on the fight and were victorious. From his first entry into Parliament in 1984, Dr. Mitchell's leadership became a symbol of progress, leading to two more historic election victories in 2013 and 2018, where the NNP won all 15 seats. A powerful testament to the unwavering trust and confidence of the Grenadian people. This era of the NNP saw heightened collaboration with our social partners to craft a homegrown structural adjustment program. The key objectives of this program were increase growth, restore fiscal and debt sustainability, strengthen the financial sector, while ensuring that social safety net programs such as the Support for Education, Empowerment and Development SEED program better targeted poor and vulnerable households, and that a targeting instrument was utilized to more objectively identify beneficiaries. During this rescue mission, Team NNP reduced unpaid claims of $100 million and had an average GDP growth rate of 5% and above consistently. The national debt was significantly reduced, moving from 108% of GDP to 57.7% before COVID-19, a drastic decrease in unemployment from over 40% to under 15%. The NNP spearheaded the construction of two national stadiums, expanded the cruise port to accommodate over 300,000 visitors annually, and upgraded more than 1,500 kilometers of farm roads, making life easier for our farmers and boosting agricultural production. In the realm of social progress, the NNP's legacy is undeniable. We brought clean, potable water to over 95% of households, expanded electrification to rural areas, and revolutionized telecommunications, making high-speed internet accessible to schools and homes across the nation. Education was a cornerstone of the NNP's commitment to the nation. The government awarded over 3,000 scholarships, providing access to higher education for students who would otherwise not have the opportunity. Through programs like the Imani, Empower, Project Fly, Youth Biz, Aspire, Reach, and Youth in Agriculture, the NNP empowered thousands of young people with skills training, job placement opportunities, and the chance to build a better future through scholarships and other support programs. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the NNP protected the livelihoods of thousands of Grenadians through physical measures that stabilized the economy and prioritized public health. Over 7,500 families benefited from housing initiatives, and as of June 2022, the NNP was paying pensions to 2,200 retirees with an average annual budget of $75.4 million. These victories were more than just political successes. There were endorsements of NNP's dedication to the people of Grenada. Dr. Mitchell's leadership brought about significant economic progress. Today, Grenada finds itself at another critical crossroad. The current NDC administration's mismanagement has weakened our economy, eroded key institutions, and undone much of the progress the NNP worked so tirelessly to secure. Under the NDC, serious crime and inflation are skyrocketing, the quality of healthcare deteriorating, and the people are once again bearing the brunt of poor governance. As history has shown, when Grenada calls, the NNP is always ready to respond. We stand ready to rescue, rebuild, and restore. This isn't just a mission, it's a promise. From providing water to every home, paving roads that connect communities, and supporting families with housing, to educating our youth and boosting our economy, the NNP has always been the driving force behind Grenada's greatest achievements. The NNP has always been there to rescue Grenada. We are ready to lead again. We will bring Grenada back to stability, prosperity, and unity, lifting our nation to the heights and respect it deserves. Together, we will rescue Grenada because we have done it before and we will do it again.
Good morning to everyone listening in Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique, and all the Grenadians abroad. And wherever you are in the world tuning in to our press conference today, welcome. My name is Kitaka Mawutu, the Public Relations Officer of the new National Party, and we're so happy this morning to have everyone joining us. Now, today, we're here to discuss critical party matters and matters that concern Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique. We'll update you on our youth convention, which is upcoming. Our political leader recently visited the Sister Isles post becoming the new leader of the new National Party. You would get a report on that as well. Our post convention report is also going to be shared by our General Secretary. And of course, we're going to deal with matters that concern the nation in a very deep and important way. I want to say welcome to everyone, and our political leader is here with us today, as well as our general secretary. Now, I'll get the ball off rolling. After our convention on December 15th, we have been heavy and serious at work. The party has been in overdrive, working to reorganize our organs, energize our soldiers, and ensure that the new National Party is in a position to be ready for a general election and to rescue Grenada as soon as possible. Now, one of the mandates was to ensure that we have our youth officers elected and in place. So, coming up on Sunday, the 26th of January, at the Westerhall Secondary School, the new National Party is going to be hosting our youth convention. At that convention, we are going to elect the youth officers who are going to be tasked with the responsibility to aggressively do the important work to stimulate, engage, energize, mobilize, and bring the youthful energy of Grenada, channeling it into the party to get the work done. Now, that event is going to start at 2 p.m. 2 to 3 thereabouts. We do our registration process. We start at 4. Entertainment, engagement of youth, over 150 delegates from each constituency is expected at that event, as well as many other observers. It underscores our critical mandate to ensure that young people are engaged meaningfully in everything that happens within the new National Party. And so we will keep you updated on everything that happens at that convention. And I must say here as well, before we move on to the next piece, that we know that there are young people in Grenada who are not brave and bold and may want to align with the party publicly for fear of victimization. And therefore, we are also working on alternative means and programs to be able to engage each and every young professional Grenadian in Grenada who would like to contribute to the national discourse and to support the work of the party. I mean, since the convention, our political leader and members of the party have been bombarded with calls from all over. Many young people who we have never thought would have been interested in representing and supporting the party are reaching out. And therefore, we have a responsibility to create alternative pathways for them to engage the party and to contribute. So that's it in terms of the youth convention. I now hand it over to our general secretary, who is going to share the post convention report and let you know all the exciting things that have been happening in the party post our convention in December 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kitaka, and a very pleasant good morning to our listeners wherever you are, whether in mainland Grenada, Carriacou, Piti, Martinique, or the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, the wider world. These days, because of the technologies that we can employ, no place is too far to witness what is happening in another part of the world. So thank you for that. Um, in terms of where we are post convention, as most of us is aware, our convention was held 15th December at the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School. And fairly new executive was elected. Some people like myself and a couple others have been returned to the positions we were holding before. And there are many other young person. Kitaka is one of those, very youthful as the new PRO, and several other young people who had gained positions as full members. But most importantly, we had elected a new political leader in that of Honorable Emmeline Pierre. A lot of people are interested in what are we doing? Where are you going? What has happened since? And I can tell you, we have been in fast forward. I have been a driver for quite a lot of years, and normally you would move your vehicle off in number one. I believe since convention we had moved out in probably third gear, or maybe fourth. I don't think we ever hit number one. Um, but that is not a complaint. It is just the reality of what is happening. And the political leader has set for us an agenda. There's a strategic plan, which I believe she will speak a lot more of, um, which was laid out to the national executive, was adopted, and now is being rolled out throughout the constituencies. So from then to now, we have had that plan done, the 2025 strategic plan. There have been several committees set up to ensure that we can activate the plan, because we just didn't want to have a plan and say, oh, yeah, it's a wonderful plan. Things look good. To know that the plan is good, we have to activate it and test it. And so we are on the ground doing various things. For example, the vision tour, which your political leader is ongoing as we speak. We have had 3 such meetings since. The intent is to go into every constituency with the vision tour and explain to the people what is the vision of our new political leader, and not just what is her vision, but what is our role. How do we participate as constituents, as supporters of the party, as newcomers into the party, as people who may be standing on the sideline, but recognizing and understanding the vision that the party now has, that you would want to be part and parcel of it. So we're explaining to people what role can they play, how can they help, what can you do, as small as it is, to make your contribution towards ensuring that the vision materialize. She's been doing a lot of visits, and we know just recently, last week, there was that visit to Carriacou and Piti Martinique, the walkabouts, the meetings, the engagement, which, of course, political leader would say more about, and ensuring also that in terms of party organization, the general secretary has great responsibility for that, and we have always been working on that. But there is a greater force, more energy. People are just just enlightened and wanting to do more. And the fact that we are out there and engaging, we're getting a lot of calls. We're getting people saying, look, I want to be on board. Tell me where I can help. Tell me what I can do. So in a nutshell, I want to say that since election, the party, like I say, had been in fast forward. We have been doing a lot. There's a lot more to do. And that doesn't say, or that doesn't mean that we were not doing any work before. But I believe now, from 40 years ago, when the founding fathers created and this party, when three political parties, smaller political parties, joined together to create the NNP, there was a vision, and there was a pathway that was laid down. And as time went by, maybe we deviated slightly. I don't think that the fundamental principles of the party was changed. I do not believe the core values were lost, but we probably did not pay as much attention in the latter years as we needed to. And so now I can say there is a refocus. There is a greater intensity in trying, first and foremost, to get people to know and to adapt the vision and the purpose why the party was formed, and to get back onto that pathway that was created 40 years ago. But through different means, with the use now of technology and much more young people getting involved, because we have to face it. Many things have evolved since 84 to now. So hence the reason I believe the interest is growing, the interest is building, and we have no intention whatsoever as an executive, as a party, as the leadership of the party, not to fulfill the promise that we have made and the demands of the people. So I think I will stop here for now and allow the next speaker to speak.
Thank you very much, Brother Bola. And you spoke about vision, and vision is critical, as well as all the hard work we are doing to ensure that that vision is executed effectively. And when we speak about our vision, and the vision for the nation, Grenada, a united, educated, healthy, safe, and prosperous Grenada for all, driven by technology, innovation, and people's participation. And as Brother Bola said, the work has been ongoing with vigor because we are connected to the community. We hear the cries of the people in terms of cost of living who have a noose over their necks, the decaying infrastructure, the worsening healthcare, the rapid rise of unemployment. And so we have no other choice but to work as tirelessly as possible to organize and get prepared to do what we have to do to rescue our country and contribute to it going to the next level. Now, we move on to the much anticipated moment. This is actually the first time our new political leader is going to be having a press conference. So I would like to hand it over to the Honorable Emmeline Pear as she shares on a recent visit to Carriacou and Petit-Martinique and other critical issues of national importance.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Brother Kitaka. And let me thank my colleagues for what I consider to be an excellent introduction to this press conference this morning. I greet all of you, those of you who are viewing, those of you who are listening. I say to you, first of all, Happy New Year, and my extension, and to say God's richest blessings for a very successful, fulfilling, purposeful 2025. I wish all of you all the very best for this new year. And I like to always start on a point of giving thanks. And I want to express this morning my deepest appreciation to all of the stalwarts, all of those who have gone before me in service to this party. All of our stalwarts, those who have served at the national level, those who have served at the grassroots level. I want to say a special thank you to all of you for your service to the New National Party and the New National Party family. But I want to single out this morning those stalwarts who have toiled and labored over so many years in the vineyard and continue to do so. Many of them I met when I joined this party as a baby, a political baby, I would say 20 years ago. I want to recognize this morning persons like Brother Gregory Bowen, Sister Clarice Modest Cowen. I also want to recognize our General Secretary, long-standing General Secretary, um, Brother Bola, and others who have remained steadfast over the years in service to this party. I also want to recognize our outstanding former political leader, former Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, who has given over 30 years of service to this party, and indeed, so many years, over 20 years of service to Grenada, Carriacou, and Pitimatnik in his role as Prime Minister of this country. And I want to thank him also this morning for what I consider to have been a very smooth transition of leadership. And up to this point, I have to say this, I don't believe I could have expected better in terms of the process and how easy he would have made it in terms of fitting into this new role. Whenever there is transition, sometimes it can be very rough, it can be very rugged, and I have to say, all of what Brother Bola mentioned this morning that we have been able to achieve thus far, I honestly believe it has a lot to do with the smooth transition so far that has happened in this party in terms of its leadership. Let me also recognize publicly again our new executive. I am so excited, I'm so inspired by the energy of the new executive and the willingness to work together as we continue to build a stronger new national party. Let me also, as I am in the mood of thank you, I want to also use this opportunity to express appreciation to Brother Peter David, who would have submitted his resignation to this party yesterday, and to say thank you for your service to the party. Thank you for your service to Grenada, and we wish you all the best. For those of you who are joining, also I thank you for joining. Those of you from the media, I welcome you, and I look forward to your continued engagement as we continue this journey. Brother Kitaka mentioned the national vision and what we are looking to as we prepare for governance. And I just want to say that as a party, we believe that we are at a critical juncture where we have to focus on the strengthening of the party, building on the arms, strengthening the arms of the party, but our political machinery in preparation for the next general election is extremely critical. But what do we see down the road, I think, is also very critical as a party. We are looking towards maintaining the strength of this party. There's absolutely no doubt that if you're speaking about a strong organization in Grenada, an organization that has served its people well, an organization that is resilient and has been through so much but still stands so strong, you talk about the new national party. And so for us, our vision is that we want to continue to be a very strong, united party that is built on a legacy of visionary leadership, progress, a party that is committed to all of its supporters and members, but a party that is committed to a better Grenada for all Grenadians. And for us, this is what we are working towards. This is what we are committed to. I want to therefore quickly move to two areas. Brother Bola would have assisted very well in terms of the first area that I want to focus on. What have we been doing over the last 36 days? And when I started counting the days from the 15th of December, I shocked myself because I could not believe it's only 36 days. It actually feels like a year. As Brother Bola indicated, that very first, that last part of December, a lot of time was spent not on, enjoying the goodies of Christmas, which for many people were definitely absent, but strategic planning was key and critical during that period. But I want to also mention that we have been able to set up some 25 working committees. And these are people who have given their commitment that they want to work with us as an executive. Some of them are executive members, but many of them are not members of our executive, but people who are committed to the cause of the New National Party, but more importantly, committed to the cause of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So we started the vision tour, but I want to mention over the Christmas vacation, myself and the former political leader, former Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. Mitchell, we did a joint, what I call Christmas tour, visiting some of our towns, visiting various villages in Grenada, and I believe what Brother Kitaka summarized as the major issues affecting people were well put together. We found that the major issues identified then, I would say the top key issues affecting people, and people were coming out to say, you guys need to speak about those issues. People need to know what those issues are. And those were summarized: cost of living, unemployment, the economy, healthcare, and of course, infrastructure. Not just the current road condition that is deplorable, but also major projects, the tremendous delays in major projects, and how all of those things, how people, because it's not just the issues, it's how people are affected by those issues. So for us, engaging with the people was extremely critical during that very initial stage after the convention. We started immediately looking at the issue of rebranding of the party. And of course, as we continue to roll out, that exercise is going to expand and is going to involve far more people as we look towards a better Grenada for all. Now, I want to move quickly to speak about Carriacou and Petit Martinique, which was one of the things, a visit to Carriacou and Petit Martinique, which was one of the things that we were able to do within those first 35 days. I want to also, while I say this, apologize for the absence of Brother Cox. He was supposed to be joining us on this press conference. Unfortunately, some circumstances beyond his control, he was unable to make it down for the press conference. But he said to me, Sister Pierre, you were on the ground and you saw firsthand, you heard firsthand. And so I'm confident that you would be able to speak to the issues this morning. Now, I am not sharing these issues and speaking to these issues just because as a party we chose to. One of the things that was common as we moved across Petit Martinique, as we moved across Carriacou, that people saw the New National Party as their voice. So people consistently pointed out the things that they want us to address, that they want us to speak about. And so this is what I intend to address at this point. Spending 2 nights in Carriacou, a day in Petit Martinique, I think it was sufficient time to be able to speak to the issues as raised by the people. One of the fundamental issues affecting the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now is the issue of lack of proper housing facilities and the rebuilding process, how slowly this has been going. If you drive around, you would notice most of the houses are still covered by tarpaulins. Many people are still living under small tents, right? We also notice not just that, and I want to give credit. I made a note of the name Hands That Serve. This is a non-governmental organization from Trinidad, and we want to thank them on behalf of the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Thank them sincerely for their contribution to the rebuilding process in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I have to say this, had it not been for them, I don't know where we would have been. Well, absolutely nowhere. Because while these persons left Trinidad, came to Grenada, made a contribution to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we were promised by the government that there would be 50 build-back houses. And these are houses to be constructed by the government. So we were told that those houses were going to be completed and handed over by Christmas. As a matter of fact, there were some other more ambitious numbers. I was really shocked to learn while in Carriacou that not one of these houses have been handed over as yet, not one. So any house that has been handed over would have been from the contribution of this NGO, this organization, and we need to remember their names just as we remember Samaritan Purse, right? Hands that serve. And we want to say a special thank you to them and to all of those persons who have been part of the process. Some months ago, and probably as early as maybe October, I stand corrected on this, I reported publicly the status of the rebuilding process in St. Vincent. I don't know what would have prevented this administration from moving ahead swiftly to bring relief to the people of Carriacou and Pitimatnik in the form of housing. And so this morning there's been so much excuses made. While yes, there has been some families receiving $15,000 in housing materials, and not well. I believe this was a knee-jerk reaction because the government themselves said initially that they were not going to take this approach in terms of giving out material because they wanted to build back better. And we loved that. We supported that. We had no issue with that. Until now, this project, in my opinion, humbly so, has been a failure. And I'm saying to this administration, people are wetting. People are saying the next hurricane season is approaching. And so I'm calling on this administration to think outside of the box. You cannot depend on labor from Carriacou and Pitimatnik because most of the people there are fishermen, most of the people are involved in other industry. And so you also cannot depend on labor from just Grenada. So you got to think outside of the box. And there is institutional knowledge. There is the response after Hurricane Ivan that we can draw upon. There are people in Carriacou, there are people in Grenada who have been part of the process. There are people who are specialized in recovery, right? And efforts surrounding disasters that we can pull them together and create some kind of system that would drive this forward. If we are depending on the bureaucracy, if we are dependent on the system, we would continue to have this slow pace, snail pace response to recovery in Carriacou and Pitimatnik. The second issue I wish to draw to attention, major issue affecting the people there, is that of the threat as it relates to water supply. One would have thought, knowing the situation in Carriacou as it relates to water, that some emergency response as it relates to rebuilding of roofs would have been undertaken. Some strategic plan would have been rolled out in response to this. This is yet to be seen, and as a result of this, people are very fearful of what is going to happen in that regard as we go towards the dry season. Now, one has to be obviously knowledgeable that in the case of Nawasa and the supply of water there has been already some inconsistencies. And so we wonder, for example, why didn't we have the desalination plant from the Samaritan Purse maintained to be able to complement whatever supply that we do have in Carriacou and Pitimatnik? So I'm just flagging this morning that there's a deep concern. One, what is going to happen as we approach the next hurricane season with the slow pace of response? Two, what is going to happen as we approach dry season as it relates to water? And the rain, while we were there, the rain fell quite a number of times. But of course, people are grieving that many of them have not been able to take advantage of the supplies. Fiscal measures rolled out by the administration, for example, the removal of VAT and duties on materials. From the response of the people, and we can verify based on the examples shared with us, those have failed in many regards. And so we are asking the government to go back to the drawing board, particularly as it relates to the bureaucracy. People are not accessing these available resources and opportunities because of the bureaucracy, the red tape. The things that they have to go through. So go to Grenada, get the invoice, come back, present it there. People are realizing that the process is a deterrent in itself. And so we are seriously asking the administration, whatever measures that you rolled out, to go back to the drawing board and to see whether or not evaluate It's a good time. 7 months passed. It's a good time to reevaluate whether or not these measures are achieving what you had set out to do from the very beginning, right? A major issue that was brought to attention, as a matter of fact, you didn't even have to wait for someone to draw it to your attention, is that eyesore in Hillsborough as it relates to the material and all of the things dumped on the Hillsborough playing field. No, I believe we've said sufficiently that this was one of the biggest error made. And while the government seeks to justify that, people are saying there's so much other options of where the government could have dumped these resources, dumped the garbage that was collected. And so you look at the situation there and it's a health hazard, number one. You look at the situation and you see children and other people who are deprived of an opportunity for recreation. You look at the situation and you're also seeing that it's going to cost us millions to restore that facility. And so much has been invested over the years in the Hillsborough playing field. Thankfully, we have the stadium that was built under the leadership of Brother Elvin Nimrod, that was so beaten up on by members of this government. And it is the only major facility available on island now that can be used for sporting activity. And so this morning, I want to recognize Brother Nimrod for his vision. I want to recognize him for his vision this morning and to say to the government that all effort should be made. Families in the area are seriously affected. I mean, I visited a family right opposite the Hillsborough playing field. And just the sight, you can tell how depressed they are every morning having to look at this eyesore. But the pest, I mean, we are facing a serious health hazard. And so I'm appealing to this administration. After 7 months, something more must be done to address this particular issue. Another major issue, I believe, confronting the people of Carriacou and Pitimatnik, and it was very obvious to us, the fear of victimization. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. And the videos are available for verification. The photos are available for verification. I had one situation where someone ran to hug me. I almost fell off the chair. And immediately after that individual noticed that there was a camera, she was almost begging, please do not post it because I do not want to lose my job. There's a real fear. People do not want to talk about their situations because they are fearful of victimization. People do not want to. One person was afraid to even shake my hand. She said, please, please take down the camera. I want to give you a hug, take down the camera. And that really concerned me. There are those who, and you would have seen, those who understand their constitutional rights, those who understand that there is still a need for people to it's just unfortunate. And I'm thinking we got to this point and we got there so quickly. It is so unfortunate. And I want to appeal to this administration, please, whatever you can do to assure people that they can live freely, they can speak freely in accordance to our rights protected in the Constitution. I encourage you to do that. Fishermen. Many of the fishermen we met still have not received support, right? As we were counting, some 40 fishermen. And what was interesting is that many of them were pointing to people who received assistance that were not deserving of assistance. So in some cases, they did not even have any damages, but they received assistance. Persons appealing for support to get their loved ones back home. So there are still persons who have their loved ones in homes in Grenada because their roofs are still off. Elderly persons in the various homes here, I don't want to express some of what was shared, but I want to appeal, is there a way that we can get back more families to connect with each other? People are grieving, not being able to see their families. And of course, the issues of poor management and allegations of corruption, the distribution based on political affiliation, all of those issues which were raised. I want to appeal again to the administration this morning, in case you're not aware. Just in case you're not aware, please look into those issues because people are severely affected. I want to close by saying, as it relates to our organization, I mentioned that we are in the process of doing some serious rebranding, some serious strengthening of our structures, etc. And as Brother Kitaka said, it has been overwhelming. It has been overwhelming. The number of people coming forward to express interest in being part of this process. But what stood out to me most during this process or period thus far, people who have said, I don't necessarily want to be part or member of the new national party, but I want to see the new national party succeed because I believe the new national party is best for Grenada. And so some of these people have already pledged their support, and others have already started working with our team to help this party to continue to grow, to continue to be a strong advocate for our people, and to be ready whenever the next general elections is called to be at the service of our people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So thank you.
Thank you so much, political leader. And yes, she's working hard, and we're ensuring we're giving her she sea moss and thing to drink every morning. So, so she's still strong and healthy. Before we move to the question and answer period, in terms of critical matters, I have some questions to ask on behalf of the people of Grenada. Because remember, we as the new national party take our responsibility very seriously. We are the conduit for which the people of Grenada express their frustrations and their issues because we have a government in power right now who does not see it fit to engage with them in a frequent manner to facilitate that process. And we assure you that, as you can see, at the start of the new year, we are already engaging with the press and we'll continue that as we move through 2025. Critical question hitting my inbox and hitting my ear in terms of moving around the community. And all these questions has to do with money because it's very critical. The cost of living is crippling people, and therefore they're looking at how the government is spending our very scarce resources in these hard times. So, first thing, when will the government of Grenada provide a detailed and transparent report on how the funds allocated for the Grenada's 50th anniversary celebrations were spent? The people have a right to know how their money were utilized. We are approaching the 51st celebration, and based on my preliminary calculations of what has been made public, we are only at a 1.8 million EC, and we've heard massive figures of in excess of $22.5 million being allocated for the celebrations. We heard about Heroes Park and so many other things, and the people have yet to see those things materialize or be given any serious support. And so I'm asking this question on behalf of the people. The second very critical question that ties to some of the very sad things that the political leader shared in terms of finding some Carriacou is the CRIF insurance payout. The nation was informed that over 118 million EC dollars was received from the CRIF insurance payout. Now, can the government provide a clear breakdown of how these funds have been utilized and why there has been no public accounting to date? Second point to that insurance and CRIF and burial and so on situation, I could recall following Hurricane Beryl, the government launched a public campaign urging direct donations to the government of Grenada. To date, there has been no official disclosure of the amount raised. How much was actually collected and where has these monies been spent? Grenadians deserve full accountability. Even if you have a GoFundMe account, you can see the transparency of the money going up to the goal. Today we haven't heard we raised $2, we raised $10, we raised $15 million. And right now, as I say, Google Times calls for being very stringent and very frugal with your financial resources. And so the people want to know what's going on with the money. Final question before we move to the Q&A section. How does this government expect the public to have confidence in its financial stewardship when there is a continued lack of accountability and transparency? And I remember those words were very popular during the 2008 period. What immediate steps will be taken to ensure that accountability and transparency occurs and the trust of the public is once again regained? Well, I hope those questions are answered soon. We've heard many promises of press conferences to update us on oil and gas and so many different things, and it's yet to happen. We still await a budget for this financial year. It's almost a month in, and so we are here. We will continue to ask the questions and to hold the present administration accountable. And we hope that the media do so as well. And we are going to also ask those questions in the House of Parliament. So at this juncture, we are going to open the floor for everyone who's joining us online to ask questions. Going forward, we are going to frequently engage you and maintain respect for the media, because your role is very, very crucial to bring in the truth and bring in the information to the public. So we open up to the media for questions now. I'm going to look at the Zoom, acknowledge people based on raise of hands, and we're going to take as many questions as possible. We're going to run through at least everybody asking at least 1 to 2 questions, and then we'll see where we're at in terms of time. So people on the Zoom, I'm looking for your hands. I see we have Kalistra Faria there. So technical team, you can let her in, and then we have Linda Straker to follow up. Okay. Is she up?
Good morning. Good morning, guys. So, Kitaka, I was hoping that the format would not continue to be same types of format where people are limited to 1 or 2 questions. You have to appreciate that that does not do service to us doing our jobs. But I'll have a go at this anyhow. Political leader, good morning, political leader, and congratulations on your ascension. I want to know, you're presenting you and your team as the rescue team um for Grenada. I want to know, based on the results of the last elections, people voting against the NNP and its policies, what are your new plans to convince the people to support the NNP, apart from the critique of the government's performance?
You can ask another question as well. The second question as well.
Well, look, I'd be happy to ask the other one after.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so thank you, Kalistra. And let me say that I don't believe that it's just about the rescue team. I think our party has demonstrated time and time again. We've always been there for this country in tough times, difficult times. And if you go all the way back from the very inception of this party, rescue mission is a word that or term that definitely would stand out. In terms of what we're going to be doing to build the confidence of people in this party, I would say, number one, the issue of inclusivity. We have been reaching out to quite a number of persons. We have been engaging quite a number of persons, maybe persons, apart from even persons who are coming forward, because we want to make it abundantly clear this is not just about Team NNP. This is also about Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And we believe that everyone who wants to make a contribution to the building of this organization, to the building of Grenada, has a role to play in this process. You called it the rescue mission. So that process of inclusiveness is very critical as we go forward. But I believe the whole issue of strategic planning is also very critical. Where do you want to go? We have a technical working group that has already started looking at some key areas of governance. What are we going to do different, right? It is not just about getting back into office and continuing, but how do you build at this point, a strategic framework that is going to take you there with, but very critical, I want to say, the involvement of people in the process. And that is going to be extremely key. How do you ensure that people are part of this process of going forward? So the issue of strategic planning, the issue of inclusivity, the issue of how do we build a Grenada that is for all Grenadians, and that plan concrete enough that people can see where are we going, what is going to be different as we go forward. We have achieved so much as a party in government. I mean, our record is extremely outstanding, I would say. And so we are building, as I said in the vision, we want to build on that legacy of success, right? We want to ensure that our forefathers, those who have gone before us, that they're extremely proud that we took this baton, we are running this race, and we are running towards success.
Yeah. So there've been resignations. Well, three resignations. Also, I think two senators have resigned, and of course, Peter David. Um, have you? I think in a way it has the potential to create instability in the party, in the minds of people, the electorate. Um, how do you intend to address this issue of an NNP that seems to be wobbling, politically wobbling under your leadership? And rescue mission political leader is the NNP's term, not mine. Rescue team. And also, let me just pick a third one in here, Kitaka. Sorry. I want to know if you're comfortable sitting as a political leader and prime minister in waiting when Peter David, your opponent, pulled out, crying foul. He raised some serious doubts and questions, accusing the NNP of rigging the convention. And he talked about a delegates list that was never made available to him as one of the contenders in the race. And so the list is suspected that the list included people who were not supportive of him and so on. Are you comfortable sitting as a political leader under that cloud and that shroud and the resignations? Thanks.
Okay. It's a long time I have not heard the adjective wobbling. Um, Now, it's 30 something days, Callistra. 30, 36 days, Brother Bola is saying. And you've already defined my leadership. But let me say this, resignation in any organization is quite normal. Um, people resign, people ask people to leave. We've had a case in the government where the government asked two members of cabinet to leave, according to the report from the government. So resignations are quite normal. You say we've had three. That's quite normal. It has happened in the past. It happened recently, and I'm almost certain it probably could happen in the future, because when you're dealing with people, you have to understand that every person is entitled to their individual intentions, their individual desires, their individual interest. You have to respect that. So if a person chooses to resign, you don't want to beat up on them about that. That's their right to so do. You no longer want to be part of the organization. That is okay. Which is why in my introduction, I thank Brother David, and let me add, thankfully you reminded me here, any other person in the past who submitted their resignation to this party. We're thankful for the period of time that you've served here. We're a party of love, and we hold no animosity. We hold no grievances. You've chosen a path, and we wish you the best on that path. But we are a party that's resilient, very resilient, and that's what I admire about the NNP. While you were speaking, it actually just flashed back to me a period in this party's history when we had a member of cabinet. We were serving in government at that time. I wouldn't mention names this morning, but I'm quite sure you're familiar with the history. A member of cabinet resigned, and I believe everyone thought that was the end of the government and the party. right? And what was the result? NNP came back 15 seats after that resignation that was viewed as extremely critical. We want everyone to stay. Get that right. We want everyone to be part of this family. But just like, your own home, a sister decides she's leaving home, a brother decides he's leaving home, what do you do? But support them in any way you can, give them your blessings, and you continue to ensure that the family functions. And that is what we do as the NNP family. So there's no animosity. We wish everyone all the best as we move forward, but we are a very resilient party. Very resilient party, and we continue to build on that legacy of resilience and strength. The other one, as it relates to how comfortable I feel in this position, absolutely. I mean, the the issue of winning and holding this position is not even the factor. It is the overwhelming support and encouragement from supporters, people who are not supporters, people who are encouraging. I want to be part of this. I want to contribute. How can I contribute? It's almost difficult. The PRO will tell you that. It's almost difficult to keep up with the requests for meetings, the requests for engagements of one kind or the other. So I have to say this also, Kalishra, as it relates to the complaints that you indicated that were made by, I would say, my colleague and friend, as it relates to the delegates list. Let's make that abundantly clear. No one in the party who aspired for the position of this in this party as political leader was given a delegates list. It is not normal. It is not the norm. The general secretary is right here. So anyone who gives you the impression that it's a normal thing that every person contesting gets a copy of the delegates list, then that's absolutely false, right? And so if you ask me what I did to engage, I'd never waited on a delegates list because this is not normal, right? What I did was to get out there, find the key supporters in every constituency, reach out to persons who I know had connection with people in constituencies, and everyone was free to do that. And what you do, you engage, because I mean, common sense would now tell you that all delegates would come from key supporters in constituencies. So that was the framework, if you want to call it that, and the approach that I took. I didn't wait for a delegates list. And the final thing I'll say about this, let me say that I found this process to be extremely fair, in my opinion. And I don't expect everyone to agree with me on this. I don't expect everyone to believe it was fair. Everybody's entitled. As I say, we have to respect people's opinions. We have to learn how to respect people's views. So if you ask me, why I considered it to have been fair. The party indicated that any person in the executive or any other person can apply for the position of political leader. That was announced. It was also said that to ensure that we have a certain standard and we promote a certain standard, mindful of the transition that was about to take place. You're talking about somebody who has served at the highest level for 34 years. A certain standard, the bar has been set. So, of course, any serious organization will want to do some kind of process going forward. So, the interview process, which I subjected myself to, this was open to any person. Every person who wanted to apply could have applied, and every person was going to be interviewed. And so, as I said, I participated. The other person, which is Brother Peter David, he chose not to participate in the interview, right? And the executive of the party, in addition, so the advisory committee was to present a report, which they did. And even after that report, which said that only one person, two people applied, only two people applied, and one person participated in the interview. The executive further took a decision, Brother Bola is there, can confirm that anyone, the party, according to its constitution, would respect and allow any person to raise a nomination on the floor. And so, if you ask me, I look at the process, I don't see anything major different about what has happened the last 20 years that I've been in this party. The only thing different is that we were changing the political leader and maybe some other top positions in the party. But the process The process has been the same. The length of time that I've served in my constituency as caretaker, I selected the delegate. That did not change this time either. So I'm just saying that, everyone is entitled to their view, but I believe it was a free and fair elections, in my opinion.
Thank you, political leader. And I also want to echo the sentiments. I was elected PRO. I didn't have a list of delegates to campaign to, and here I am today. And additionally, I want to talk to the nation. Very short and very brief. There is reality and there is illusion. And there is good intention and there is bad intention. And not everyone has the best interest for our party, and we know that. And I remember hearing the house is going to be destroyed after our 15th of December convention. There would be guns and bombs and all types of things would be happening. It didn't happen. All illusion, all fake. And look at us today here, 36 days later, a strategic plan, 20 plus committees aggressively working to get to the business and do the work to take our party and our country forward. And it's not going to be stopped. And so, in simple words, all the illusions would be cleared up with God and time. And so the people can see clearly the truth from the falsehoods, and it will continue to happen as we continue to stay focused on doing our work. Linda Straker, you are up next in terms of asking questions. The floor is now yours. Technical team, yeah. Linda, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear
All
you
right,
clearly
can you
now.
loud and clear now, Linda? Proceed.
Good morning to you and everyone at the head table. I have a number of questions, starting with what you announced that Sunday coming, the 26th, will be the youth convention, and 150 delegates are expected to gather at the venue. Can you tell us whether or not there will be a guest speaker, for whether local or foreign? What is the theme of the convention, and some um, other matters, other important things associated with that convention? My first question to the political leader, in her presentation, she mentioned two things: that there are 25 working committees established since the um, December 15 convention, as well as the party's intention of rebranding. Can she explain further what she means by rebranding, and list the type of committees that has been set up?
Okay, thank you, Linda. So first question, if I have it clear, is guest speaker. Well, interestingly, I was tasked with the responsibility to be the guest speaker at that particular convention, and I would do an address on the role of youth in national development. So it's going to be all local in terms of that. In terms of the theme for our convention, say that again. Yeah. Yeah. So we having our convention under the same theme of our last convention. Did I miss any other question? In terms of other people that's going to be there, we're going to be having a presentation by Christopher Diali Jr. On the NNP Young Professionals. We're going to be launching Young Professional Network. He's chairing that committee. He's also going to be there to share on that. We're going to be having an address by our political leader, and we're going to be having other brilliant youth in Grenada participate in entertainment as well as other engagement. So that's what we have here so far. More information is going to be shared in the next coming days, and of course, after the convention, you're definitely going to have all the details in terms of what happened.
Okay, so just to speak broadly on the subject of rebranding, of course, I don't wish to share much details at this engagement, but to say that we want to be far more responsive than we have been in the past. And as I said, our leaders, and particularly our former political leader and former prime minister, he has charged us to build upon the legacy. And so we have a responsibility to look at all that we've done in the past and how we can improve, how we can build upon that. And that is why the rebranding process is going to come from the listening and the engaging of our people. As I said before, we want to ensure that we're inclusive, but we also responsive. We want to ensure that we continue to be resilient. And so I'm not going to specify the areas as it relates, but I want to probably call it physical as well as other forms of rebranding. Our philosophy and our values and all of that remains steadfast, not going to change. But there are ways that we can modernize. There are ways that we can make ourselves more appealing. There are ways, as Kalisha would have asked, that we can present our case to the Grenadian people, that they understand clearer, what is it that we intend to do for them and how we are intending to take this country forward. So the rebranding includes quite a number of areas, but of course, as time rolls on, we are going to share as we choose to, share what exactly is happening in that particular area. But the point is, we do not want to remain exactly the same. We want to ensure that we continue to grow, we expand, we renovate, we remodel, and all of that. In terms of the committees, just to give an idea, so we have women, we have youth, we have the young professionals, we have professional women, we have welfare, zonal committees, disciplinary committee, the NNP Institute, the diaspora. There are quite a number of committees. As I said, the strategic, quite a number of technical advisory, technical working, quite a number of committees. And I'm sure you don't have a lot of interest in those details.
Okay. Thank you, political leader. Before you go forward, Linda.
That question.
Oh, Linda, you get that question. Just one very important thing I need to do right now as my rapid response unit who's been monitoring social media just send me something very disturbing that I need to dispel immediately. So, as I just spoke about it, people who don't have the party or the nation's best interest of heart and is always sowing seeds of propaganda and fake news. Recently, I just saw resignation of Honorable Kate Lewis circulating using our official statement graphics circulating. And so my rapid response team sent this to me immediately and they're like, hey, this needs to be announced. So I'm putting it out right now. That's absolutely false, absolutely fake. It's an illusion. It's has no purpose other than to deceive the people of Grenada and to contribute to false narratives. So the Honorable Kate Lewis has not submitted any resignation to the New National Party. And so let's get back to the business of the day.
If I can probably just add to that, and well, you should add that we're not wobbling at all. Let me just add to that. Sister Kate was with me last night, as you can see from her Facebook post in where were we last night? Holy Innocent Ladig. And she also did a presentation as it relates to membership, because one of the committees I did not mention is that of membership, and she is so excited about the work of the membership committee that she was there last night doing a short presentation on membership, right? When the meeting was over, she actually came to me. She said, you're going to the party office tomorrow morning. Could you drop these monies in? Because some people actually came forward right there at the meeting and registered to be members of the party. So I actually handed over these monies this morning to the party and to say, we're moving forward, and we welcome everyone on board. You want to be part, you don't want to miss this. You want to be part of this.
Yeah, and as well, for parents would say, people don't pelt stones after empty mango trees. So, Linda, you can proceed.
Thank you. Well, this was actually breaking news for me. I don't know about others. But my other questions for now has to do with two things. Since we come in political leader, I know I saw the release of him back in on the vision tour and meeting with people. Well, you just a while ago mentioned that people has been coming and sign up at following an event last night. Has there been any approach by any former high-ranking person who would have left or resigned or just distance itself over time with the party as they approach you now that you are the new political leader to rejoin? I'm calling these people the prodigal sons and daughters, have they shown an interest to return home? And the other question is linked to that. We are aware that of the resignation of MP Peter David. Some people are of the belief that it can have an impact negatively on the membership and the supporters. Since how do you think the membership and the supporters will be affected by the resignation of Mr. David?
All right, so I won't call them prodigal sons and daughters, but I would say our brothers and sisters, and as I always like to emphasize, everyone has a choice. They have a choice of the actions, whatever they do. And we always open arms, ready to welcome anybody. Anybody who wants to come back home, we always here and ready. So yes, I've been having quite a number of engagements. I do not wish to call names at this point. Some persons have reached out to me requesting meetings that I've already facilitated. Some persons I'm meeting with this week, in the coming week, and there are others that I have reached out to. And I just want to say, I've not met anybody that I've reached out to that has been negative about the future of the party, that is not willing in one way or the other to offer their support. Some people obviously would want to get back frontline. Some people would want to, cruise in, take their time, help in whatever way. And I'm so excited about, I'm all about uniting this party. So there's nobody who would be interested in being part of what we are doing that there would not be a role or a place for them. Everyone role would not be the same, obviously, but there's a role for everyone, and that's the point. There is a role for every person who wants to contribute, first to Grenada and second to the New National Party. Your second question, as it relates to the impact of Brother David's resignation, I have to say this, that there's been quite a lot of talk about this happening. Persons very close to Brother David have been sharing, with persons very close to us, what the plans were and what was happening. And so for me personally, when the resignation came, I was absolutely shocked, and so it gave some time for that kind of impact assessment, preliminary impact assessment. From my own quarter, the party has not done something official, but from my own undertaking, how is this likely to affect our party? And if you ask me, I think it's more likely to affect the National Democratic Congress than it would affect the New National Party. But the key thing is not just that. As a party, we are historically a very resilient party. Let me just say that I was even shocked at the turnout of supporters from the tongue of St. George at our convention, even when Brother David indicated that he was not going to be there and his supporters were not going to be there. Quite a number of persons, some of them you might even recognize in the photographs, where people came up after the convention to greet me. And so we are going to continue to build this party. We are going to continue to work with anyone who wants to work with us. And as I hinted, some years ago, one of our members decided to resign. We did what any serious organization would do. You strategize, you do what has to be done. And as I said, the party at that time, well, I said I was mentioning the day, but Brother Fletcher's resignation after that was able to win all 15 seats. It was a snap election. People thought that was the end. There's no way NNP was going to bounce back or win a next general election so quickly. And NNP won 15 seats. So as I said, we thank Brother David. There's no hate, there's no animosity, but we have to move on as an organization, and we are doing so rapidly.
Before we move on to the next question, our history shows inclusion. I mean, we would have been able to win 15 seats on 3 occasions. We were only able to do that because we have the secret sauce of being able to bring people from different views and ideologies together to work for the benefit of the country. Our social partners network has guided our policy developments over the years. So it's nothing new for us to be able to unify and bring people together. And it's just going to be business as usual, continuing in this new era of NNP. On the live, we have Johnson Richardson. I think you're up next to ask your questions. And in the interest of time, I think we're just going to do one more from maybe anybody else who was there, and then we can move on because we are approaching our time very quickly. So, Johnson, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, for saying what's to the leader. My question is, and I have two questions here. One has to one. My first question: the NFP lost election in 2022, and I found that they faced over number of I believe that party who have done your registration and so on. And one of the concerns or one of the highlighted question of the leadership, right? And the manner in which you were part of that and so on. And I will hear that you know that you are the head of the party. Not on the head. Can you reassure the people of Grenada? And a lot of people believe that you're still operating within the shadow of the children. While he has chair, the perception out there is that you basically in the shadow. Can you reassure the people of Grenada? Whatever it means, that basically, not as you are the head of the party, that things will be different. And you have basically the wherewithal and command. It's your driving that the NNP machinery and not the furniture. Because a lot of people believe that you still operating in laptops and so on. So you need to be into, can you really show the people that this is NNP and it's driving, pushing the My second question, let's a few minutes ago, mention resignation of Peter Bingham might be benefits or to be more disasters to the National Democratic Congress other than the enemy. I'm not getting to explain from this what a resignation of Peter Bingham, who was a member would benefit enemy and not the
So, Johnson, I have to confess that I wasn't hearing you. Most of what you said, I was not hearing you very clearly. I think I can deduce what you're asking, but bear with me. I can't agree or disagree with your preambles because I would be agreeing or disagreeing to something I didn't hear. But I think I got the gist of the questions. And I'm going to take the first one. The last one first. As I think you're asking if I think Brother Peter's resignation is going to benefit NNP more or benefit NDC more? Is that what you're asking?
They said that the resignation of Peter will affect. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for that.
And I think I answered that question. I'm not sure if you joined after I would have answered that question. But I feel firmly from my own personal assessment of this and from the feedback I've received thus far, I believe the NDC would be more impacted negatively by this than the New National Party. As it relates to I picked up bits and pieces of the first question. So I heard the shadows of Dr. Mitchell and being my own leader, something to that effect. And I think I can deduce what is it that you're trying to ask in that question. So let me start by saying this. First, I have total respect for Dr. Mitchell as a very outstanding leader in Grenada, in the region, and I dare say internationally. I have a lot of respect for him as a leader who has demonstrated significant strength at all times, whether it be in situations of crisis, and is the best time to judge a leader in situation of crisis, and whether it be the significant work that he has done in relation to transformation of this country over the years. When you speak of real transformation, You have to speak about the legacy and the work of Dr. Mitchell in his leadership position of this country. And so let me establish first and foremost that I have absolute respect for this leader. And I think he deserves a lot more respect from all of us as it relates to what he has achieved and what he has done for this country. That being said, I feel, I have to say, secondly, that I feel blessed, quite honestly, and truthfully so, to have the expertise, the experience, the advice of Dr. Mitchell as a past leader who has served his country for over 20 years, who has served his party for over 30 years. Very few leaders, whether it's the Caribbean, whether it's international, very few leaders emerging have the benefit that I have of stalwarts like not just Dr. Mitchell, Brother Gregory Bowen, Sister Clarice Modeste, and Brother Bola, and others who have been there and can provide that kind of support. Leadership can be a very lonely road, I'm telling you from my own personal experience. And if you don't have the support, it becomes sometimes a very daunting task. And so anyone who understands leadership understands, and this is what I studied. My specialization was leadership, a master's in business administration. So I can tell you both theoretically and practically that this is absolutely a benefit in leadership. Now, that being said, let me say this. Dr. Mitchell's style of leadership and my style of leadership might be very different. We have two different styles of leadership. If you ask me further, I would say it's two styles that can complement each other very well. And so I am not going to distance myself from Dr. Mitchell as a former leader of this party and a former leader of this country. I know some people might have their personal feelings about Dr. Mitchell, his own leadership, etc., etc. So I'm going to take everything that I can take as a new leader in this particular position. I am going to benefit and take full advantage of it. Full advantage. But there are two things I want to conclude this response by saying. One, I credit Dr. Mitchell for what I've seen demonstrated thus far as a willingness to relieve himself of this position. And so I think if you ask me over the last 36 days, while I've consulted with Dr. Mitchell on some things, I think he has given full space, free space for me to do things the way that I think is best as a leader. And of course, consulting and embracing and working along with other members of the team, because this is not just about me, right? So I credit him this morning. Some leaders, want to hold on to everything and so there are things we've disagreed on. So I'll give one example. Dr. Mitchell's view of how maybe the recent, what you call it, vision tour should have been. His concept of it is very different to my concept of it, but did he stand in the way of how I think it should be done? And from my own consultation with other colleagues, no. As a matter of fact, he has invited me in to have discussion on several things outside of just the issue of leadership, including that of leader of the opposition. And so I give a lot of credit to Dr. Mitchell. I don't see him as standing in my way at all. And I make the final comment. I think I'm pretty much good at being my own woman. And you probably might want to ask my husband about that. I believe in partnership. I believe in partnership. I believe in collaboration. I believe in teamwork, but I think I have a brain of my own. And I don't think you need to be concerned about what you're concerned about.
Yeah, and
Miss Pierre, I just want just I don't think I've heard you still mentioned recently Peter David. I still didn't get the detail why you think why you make us why you say that the NDC will be more to yeah. They just want to this going into a utility so
Is it that he's asking me why I think?
yes, instead of NDC will be more talking about negative impact.
So Johnson, you're asking me to give out tactical and strategic information publicly. Maybe when we see, I'll probably give you a little hint of why I say what I say. But that's too much of strategic information to share publicly. I know you mean well, but let's chat when I see you privately.
Yes, and also I want to add one point. I've seen a growing trend, even from our opponents, in terms of how they disrespect and abuse elder people who would have contributed to the nation and who just existing and just go through the natural cycle of life. And it's very sad. And we as a party respect and honor the legacy of all the stalwarts that have gone before. We can only be here standing strong today because of all the sacrifices and the work that they put in. And NMP supporters, you have to be proud and standing on the legacy of your stalwarts and building on it and improving it and taking it to the next level. And so we definitely want to reinforce that point. Based on the time, production team, how much time do we have left? Yeah. We'll take one more question from anyone who wants to ask, and then we'll wrap up for today. There's other people online. I'm not seeing any the hands up, and then you'll be given the opportunity to ask a question. Okay. No hands up. So I think that's it for today. So I'm going to hand over to the political leader to make any final remarks, and then we can close it out for today.
I'll probably not defer, but as per the bowler, if he wants to just make a quick comment, and then I'm just going to close thereafter.
Only to say, political leader, that the journey so far, from convention to now, has been steady. The ride has not been absolutely smooth, a few bumps and so, but I'm quite happy for the progress that we have made thus far, and I can see a really bright light at the end of the tunnel. We are not there yet. There could be rougher rides to come, so I don't want anybody to feel that we are ahead of ourselves and we believe that it is all smooth sailing from here. There can be obstacles, there can be, the realities of life. We are into politics, and many things can happen between now and getting to the destination that we are heading. But so far, the resilience, as a word that was used before, the participation, the encouraging words, the turnout, the liveliness of the people, it is encouraging, and I only hope that we can grow from strength to strength and we can continue to be inclusive, have people's participation, because you are not into politics if there is no people's participation, and the backroom planning. You are indeed a hard worker, you are a goal setter, and you are a goal achiever. I can say that much. I've known you well into your 20 years in the party. I've been there just a couple of years ahead of you, not by far, but from the time I've known you, I've always been that kind of individual that do not just sit by and hope for things to happen, but you actually make things happen for you. So congratulations to you again, to the party, and of course we look forward as we go on with the vision to hear, to listen, and to accept criticism and comments from the people.
Okay, thank you, Brother Bowler. And let me just close by speaking to our supporters who are out there to say to you that, this is exciting times for your party. I want you to get a part, get involved, put your everything into this. Those of you who probably might, for whatever reason, sat back a bit since the last general elections, I want to say to you, get in touch with somebody, get involved, get on the train. The train is moving, and it's moving quickly ahead. For those of you who are not members of this party, not even supporters of this party, maybe you might have been in the past, I want to say there's room for everyone in this process, because this process ultimately is not just about building a stronger party, it's not just about rebranding our party and, expanding our party. It's not just about that. This is one segment of the plan. The biggest plan, the bigger part of the plan is really about about Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. And so if you are there and you have an interest in Grenada, you're dissatisfied with what you've seen, the many unfulfilled promises of the current government, the lack of respect for people, the way in which people are treated with disregard, the way people are taken for granted, the state of the economy, the rising cost of living, the deplorable state of our health system and how that is worsening. Whatever the issues that you're not happy with, you're discontented with, and you feel that you look back and you say to yourself, you know what, NNP wasn't perfect, but I saw a route towards betterment. And I can be part of that change. I can be part of that betterment. You can make a contribution. We're inclusive. You're not going to be left out. I want to assure you that this morning you can get involved. You can choose where you get involved, in the front line, middle line, back line, wherever you want to get involved. There is room for you in the house. And as a matter of fact, there's not just room right now. We're going to be expanding further. And so there'll be so much space that you'll be able to bring others with you. So God bless all of you. God bless Grenada. We're excited about the work ahead, but we'll be more excited having you on this journey working with us. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Oh, we're done. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. One last thing before we go. Remember our youth convention on the 26th of January, Sunday, at the Westall Secondary School. Registration starts at 2 p.m. Official session starts at 4 p.m. Follow us on social media. Reach out. Become a member. The house is being renovated. Biometric scanners, camera system, solar panels. We have a bunker. So you come in, you're going to be safe. And to the soldiers and the people who come in and work for the party, eat well, rest well, feed your mind, feed your spirit, and get ready for the work ahead, because we need to build a healthy, united, educated, safe, and prosperous Grenada for all, driven by technology, innovation, and people's participation. Thank you all. Thank the media. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you soon again.